Hey everyone, welcome back to the vlog. As of filming this, it is currently October 2nd, 2025, which means it has officially been one whole year since I started this whole YouTube thing. And over the year of just filming and documenting life, I have been asked a lot, what do you use to vlog? And over the year, I have refined and tweaked and switched up the vlogging setup so much. And I feel like now that I have it pretty much dialed in, today would be a pretty good time to talk to you guys about what I use to vlog everyday life. But first, some life updates. It's like creative season right now. Just a lot of moving and filming and brainstorming and all of that stuff. So yeah, been choreographing a lot these past few weeks, and yeah, it's been a while since I've choreographed for actual performances and stuff. Lately it's been for personal projects and for the team, but yeah, the mindset and the mentality is so different. So yeah, it's good to get that creative muscle going again. But yeah. So yeah, it's a process, but it's fun. Alright guys, first things first when it comes to vlogging is the cameras. I have two main cameras that I use for vlogging, and we're gonna start off with the one that I use the most, and it is the Sony a7C Mark II. This was a wedding gift from Aaron actually, and before using this camera I was using the FX30 for vlogging and for literally everything, and it's the camera that I'm using right now to film this vlog. So when it comes to the Sony a7C II, this is the camera that I bring with me 90% of the time. I'm not a tech reviewer, and there's a lot of really good reviews that you can look for online about this camera, but a few things that I do like about this. Number one, size and form factor. It's a small camera. I do have a cage on it right now, which adds the slightest amount of bulk, and I don't ever have an issue with just throwing it in a bag with a lens on it. Number two, 33 megapixel for photos. I don't know what else to say about that, except it makes your photos look very sharp. I'll post some sample pictures on here, but when it comes to photography, 33 megapixels for photos, very solid. And number three, the 4K image that this produces for video. The 4K images on this camera I've found are very sharp compared to other 4K images, and the reason why is because this is actually a 7K sensor downsampled to 4K. What that essentially means is this camera will record a 7K image, then takes that image and puts it into a 4K image. And what that does is it creates a sharper 4K image than just native 4K. I hope that made sense. But either way, if you watch the vlogs, I think you can see the type of image that this camera produces. But yeah, this camera is super reliable for both photo and video, especially if you are a hybrid shooter. Next up on the list, we have the Sony ZV-E1. I'm pretty sure many of you have heard of the FX3. That is a very phenomenal camera, especially for video, and it has been used on Hollywood productions, for example, like The Creator. But the thing with that camera is that it is very expensive and I do not have FX3 money. But the good thing is the ZV-E1 is the same sensor as the FX3, but for half the price. Again, you can watch reviews on this camera online, but a few things that I like about this camera, size and form factor, it is very small. When I first held this camera, I was used to holding the A7C II. I don't really know how to explain, but the A7C II, when you hold it, it feels very solid in the hand, but when you hold the ZV-E1 fresh out of the box, it feels very plasticky and it feels very light. And so I added a cage on here that comes with a grip because it is now so much easier to hold. It's not too bad to hold without the grip and without this cage, but even then I really felt like this body was so fragile that we needed to get a cage for this thing. But yeah. Number 2, dual base ISO of 640 and 12,800. On the lower end, 640, that is good for sunlight and for when you're out and about during the day. 12,800 is where things get really crazy. This thing at night is insane. It almost feels like you're shooting afternoon in the middle of the night. I'll show some video samples of what that looks like, especially when you have this with a lens that goes all the way to f1.4. The image that this produces in low light is insane. If I know that we're gonna be out all day, especially say like in the city, LA or wherever have you, I will bring the ZV-E1 with me over the A7C II just because I can film in low light and I just know I'll be able to get a good clean image out of it. But yeah, Sony ZV-E1. Next up, we're going to talk about lenses. You can have a camera body, but these are essentially nothing if you don't have a lens. So first things first, we have the newest addition to the family. We have the Sony 16mm f1.8G lens. I talked about this in the previous vlog, but essentially this gives us a very wide image. It's very perfect for vlogging. And sometimes I'll turn on active and dynamic stabilization on the cameras and that will crop in the image a bit, but even then the crop is not bad at all and it is still wide enough when I'm holding my arm out. For example, when I used to use like a 24mm focal length, holding the camera out, I was only getting myself and maybe half of someone else's face in the frame, for example. But now with the 16mm, I don't even have to hold it as far and I can get like me plus 2 others in the background. So pretty cool lens. It is also very sharp actually. The first time I used this lens, I was very surprised because I was using my 24mm, which we'll get to later, and this lens is already very sharp, especially given that it's a G Master lens. But this, the sharpness was very comparable to the G Master, which is very cool. So yeah, this is the first lens on the lineup, the 16mm. Okay, so before we jump into the cameras, I'm filming by the window right now, and so it's a bit cloudy today, and so the sun is gonna be coming in and out, which means by the time I color grade this, right now it's a little, the clouds just came in a bit, so we'll just deal with it. But anyways, next up we have the Sony 24mm f1.4 G Master lens, my favorite lens of all time. This lens lived on my A7C II and the ZV-E1 prior to getting the 16mm. It's so, I don't know how to explain the image quality on this, but it's magical, I guess, if I had to use one word to describe it. I highly recommend. I know it may not be within everyone's budget, but if you have a chance to even just slap this lens on your camera and to test out the image quality and see it for yourself, it is insane. This lens, again, I used to use 98% of the time. Now I use this lens 90% of the time, and the 16 mil 10% of the time. It's very hard to decide which of these two lenses I want to bring with me on the day-to-day, but at this point, I've started just throwing this in my bag, even though I know I won't use it, just because of how much I love this lens. And last but not least, for vlogging, we have the Sony 24-50 f2.8 G lens. What's unique about this lens is that at its smallest size, it is actually 50 millimeters. And when you turn the zoom rocker, the barrel extends out, and this is now 24 millimeters. I know that might be weird to many people. For me, it was very hard to adjust. But the reason why I picked up this lens is because of how small it is. I mean, compared to my 24, this is the same size when it's just tucked and packed away, which means it's so much easier to travel with this. And I know some people might ask, oh, why don't you use a 24-70? Let me show you why. Be right back. Okay guys, I lied, sorry. I'm actually filming with the 24-70 right now, but I grabbed this lens instead for demonstration purposes. This is the Sony 18-105. This is a very bad comparison right now, but the 24-70 is like this at the 24, essentially. When you extend it out to the 70, the barrel goes all the way out and it becomes such a big and heavy lens, versus if I just have this in my bag, I can easily pack it away without having to worry about size and weight. Just having a small compact zoom lens when I'm traveling and vlogging really helps a lot, especially if there's something a bit farther away and I want to just zoom in on it. This is very good to have, especially when you compare it to the other two lenses I have. They're all roughly the same size, minus the 16. This is significantly smaller, but again, the 24 and the 24-50, these are the same size, which helps a lot when it comes to packing. So we talked about cameras, we talked about lenses, and now we have the little miscellaneous things that help make vlogging a lot easier. Starting with the microphone. I use the Sony ECM M1, I believe is what this one is. Honestly, Sony needs to do a better job at naming their microphones, because there's the ECM B1, there's the G1, the B10M, the M1. I think I said that already, but yeah. The cool thing about this microphone is this right here, this connector. If you notice, it just goes into your Sony camera, boom, lock it in place, and your microphone is ready to go. The cool thing about this microphone is this dial right here. This dial lets you select how you want the audio to be captured. So for example, it has your typical front modes. So if you want to capture audio specifically to like this versus a bit wider or super wide, it'll catch all that audio. And then it has this dial, which you can set it to capture. If the microphone is facing this way, it'll capture the audio only from behind, which is perfect if you're vlogging, say, a cool building and you're kind of describing the building to your audience. Then you're actually able to just talk normally to the microphone and it'll capture that perfectly. And another cool feature that I like about this one is you can actually get audio coming from both the front and the back. I found that especially in New York, this was very helpful, especially when vlogging with Erin. I was able to point the camera at her and I was able to talk, and it captures the audio coming from me pretty perfectly, and it also captures the audio coming from her talking directly in front of the microphone pretty perfect. So yeah, very versatile microphone. It does everything you need it to do and it sounds great. Another microphone that I use is the DJI Mic Minis. This microphone is very good to have on you, especially if you're vlogging with 2 people. You can easily just clip it on magnetically to your shirt, or you can do what I'm doing right now with this. There's actually a DJI Mini in here, and you can do some wireless stuff like this. Very good to have. Honestly, any of the DJI mics are very good, so I recommend picking up any of them and you'll be good to go with audio. Next up, we have the mini tripods. I use 2 of them, starting off with the Sony vlogging tripod. I don't know what this is called. Again, Sony, you need to figure out how to name your products, but yeah, the cool thing about this, it's very small actually. Plug this in, and then yeah, you can do this, you can do this, and then up front you have Bluetooth controls, so you can do electronic zooming, you can start and stop recording, take pictures, all of that stuff. Very versatile, very lightweight, very small. Next up on the mini tripod list, I have the silencecorner mambapod. If you watch the New York vlog, I bought this in New York at B&H, and this mini tripod has been such a game changer. This is number 1, a mini tripod. Number 2, you can use it as a mantis pod. Essentially, you can hook this up to like a door frame, for example, and then the legs attach to the wall or to the door, and it just provides you with this unique top-down look. And you can do this with a lot of other places too. But the cool thing about this is, you see this other piece right here? You open this up, and in this, you flip it over, and then right here, you start twisting, and boom, it is also a clamp, which is very helpful for mounting this thing in a ton of random places. Like, I'll show you a clip, but I was filming in the garage, and on our squat rack, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can mount this on there and get like a unique back view of me dancing, and I was able to do exactly that, and it's very cool. So yeah, mini tripods, very helpful. I know people also use tripods. I'm personally not there yet. Maybe next year you'll see me walking around with a tripod, but for now, mini tripods will do for me. Last but not least, we have filters. I use the Polar Pro VND CPL mist filters. What the heck does that mean? So VND, variable natural density. Neutral density, natural density. Anyways, what a VND is, we'll start with the ND part. That is basically sunglasses for your camera. When it comes to filming, there's something called the 180-degree rule, which is essentially doubling your shutter speed based on your frame rate. So right now I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, which means ideally I would want my shutter speed to be 1/48, or if your camera doesn't have that, 1/50. And the 180-degree rule emulates real life motion blur, what we naturally see with our eyes. And what happens is, if I'm shooting at my camera's low base ISO of say on the A7C II 800, and then I have my shutter speed at 1/48, and I'm outside and it's pretty sunny, my image is gonna be very overexposed. Once I put this on there and then I adjust the intensity of the ND, I'm able to then fix my image and make it correctly exposed. And yeah, basically sunglasses for your camera. The next part is the polarizer. That one, if you ever try to, for example, take a picture of a car, but someone's sitting inside, you're gonna see them when you take the picture. What this does is you just twist it a little bit and then the person just magically disappears and you just get the car window. Same thing with like water, those reflections kind of go away and then yeah, you just get water. And then the last part is the mist part of this. It basically just takes your highlights, blooms it, adds this nice softness to your image. And for me, I personally like them just because of the character it provides to your image. And this one is a black mist, which means it's just your typical mist filter, I guess, where it just softens it, blooms the highlights, so on and so forth. But what I did pick up also is the gold mist version. This I think has been very underrated in my toolkit. It does the same things except it blooms your highlights to be a bit gold. And I think the inspiration behind this filter was like Kodak film. So this will also give a little warm tint to your image, which I think has been very nice. I use this a lot in New York, and I'll also post some photo samples of it so that way you can kind of see what that looks like. But yeah, this is the main vlogging setup, and I feel like it is very compact and very small and light, but I know that there are some people who may be scared of carrying a camera with them, or maybe you don't have the budget for a camera. So the next thing on the list is actually my third camera, which is my phone. I use my phone to film a lot. I haven't done a proper test with the iPhone 17 Pro yet, but essentially phone cameras now are so good. And there's some people out there who have posted full-on vlogs shot on their phones. They've posted live videos, they've posted so much content literally just filmed on their phones. I think there was a series done also recently by this guy who traveled to all 50 states in America. That thing has millions of views, and if I'm not mistaken, that whole thing was shot on an iPhone. So phones are very capable, and I highly recommend, if you don't know where to start, to definitely use your phone. But yeah, that is what I use to vlog. And of course, to carry it all is the bag. So if you don't know, I love my bags and I have a lot. And this is the latest camera bag that I have, and it has slowly become my favorite. This specifically is the wotancraft 7-liter pilot bag. And the thing that I like about this is it doesn't necessarily scream camera bag, and it fits a lot. It actually fits most of this. I use this bag a lot because number one, I like slings, and number two, it fits a lot. For example, what fits in here is Oakley Meta's Beats for music. And then I'm able to throw in this microphone. I can put one body with one of these 3 lenses that I mentioned. If I'm mimicking the New York setup, it was the 16mm that was on my body. So then we just throw this in the bag. And then I'm able to fit another lens in there. In the case of New York, it was the 24-50. And then on the sides, what's cool about this bag is there's actually 2 cinch pockets on the side. On one side, I had my mini tripod. And then in the other side, I had my camera strap. And that all fit in the main compartment of the bag. If I take the bag off real quick, you'll see that there's another zippered pocket towards the front of the bag. And this is where I would keep my portable battery as well as 2 additional Sony batteries. And then of course, chapstick, nasal stick, all that stuff, the essentials. The latest addition that I did add was a SSD because for the iPhone, I am currently testing out ProRes RAW OpenGate Apple Log 2. The files on that thing are so massive that you need an SSD connected to your phone in order to film. I use a MagSafe wallet and then I just stuff the hard drive inside and then we're good to go. And that is the camera bag. Well guys, that is it for today's episode of the vlog. We talked about the vlogging gear that I used. I know there's a ton of other gear that I have, but we can save that for another time. If you are looking into starting a vlog, I highly recommend it. It's very fun, especially looking back at all the memories and just seeing all that you've done, whether it's just a day in the life at home or you're hanging out with all your friends and stuff. Vlogging is very fun. You don't need a camera per se to vlog. You don't need to go out and buy an expensive camera like one of these. You can literally just use what is in your pocket, and that is your phone. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace. This year I went with the orange one for one reason only. Have a black case with it, and when you put it on, it looks like this, which also looks like this. A G Master lens. Yeah, I've been calling this the iPhone G Master because it matches with the orange of a G Master lens, and yeah, that's really the only reason why I got an orange phone this year.